How did the cloisters come to be? Who was the man that began the medieval collection that would become part of the Metropolitan Museum of Art? George Gray Barnard was a famous American sculptor, a titanic genius, who studied in Paris, was praised by his contemporary Rodin, and compared to Michelangelo. He was prolific, most famous for his groups on the Pennsylvania State Capitol. Here, you can see his work on the New York Public Library and at Columbia University. In the early 20th century, while living in Paris, in the midst of a personal financial crisis, Barnard realized that it was far more lucrative to sell old European art than to sell his new art. And there were all these monasteries crumbling throughout Europe, so he soon took to peddling for loot throughout the countryside. He started off by paying 30 francs for 2 statues found in a pile of manure. Barnard purchased paintings, sculptures, columns, large sections of cloisters. He found a wooden Christ being used as a scarecrow on a farm, a Virgin Mary holding up a vat in a wine cellar, gargoyles damming up streams, and as he collected, the French government began to ask questions.
What is this American doing? Why is he buying all these scarecrows?
In 1913, Barnard wanted to transport to America a large portion of the Abbey of Saint-Michel-de-Cucha, about 100 columns and arches, which were being used incidentally in a private bathhouse. The French soon claimed that Barnard was stealing the soul of France for the American rich.
Mon Dieu, he is stealing the soul of France.
Barnard knew that he had to get his acquisitions out of France immediately, and the race was on.
Take her to America!
I never read anything about a woman being beaten, but it was still exciting. The French government passed laws preventing the export of such items.
Stop him! Stop him!
But Barnard had left a few weeks earlier.
Au revoir!
And the items cleared French customs 2 days before the law went into effect. As a result, we have here in Upper Manhattan, the soul of France. Barnard wanted to turn this area into the intellectual Coney Island, which I think makes a much better name than Hudson Heights. Where do you live? I live in the intellectual Coney Island.
I guess that makes you one of the freaks.
Oh, I guess that makes you one of the For years, Barnard displayed his collection of objects in a simple red brick building next to his home at 190th and Fort Washington Avenue. In 1925, he sold the entire lot, including 600 objects, to J.D. Rockefeller Jr. for $600,000. Today, that would be so much more. The collection became part of the Metropolitan Museum of Art and moved here to its new home in Fort Tryon Park in May of 1938. Barnard died on April 24th, 16 days before the collection opened to the public. And this ends the tour of this part of Washington Heights, Hudson Heights, in upstate Manhattan, where not only can you stroll through the soul of France, but you can
Buy a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment.
You can get a drink and a cup of coffee and another drink.
You can view the tapestry.
Comer comidas latinas.
Have a half-cap, decaf, mocha skim latte.
Get the hell out of Midtown.
Au revoir!